Jamal Niaz here at For the Love of Wrestling with the legend himself, JBL here in Manchester. How awesome has it been catching up with old friends and reflecting on some iconic career moments with the fans?
It's been a blast. One of the greatest things we do with these events is get to see friends. And, we haven't seen a lot of these guys in a long time. And without events like this, we don't get to see each other. So during COVID, I got so bored, and I'm just glad to be out again, seeing friends, talking to fans. That I'm a wrestling fan myself, so it's great talking wrestling. It's been a lot of fun.
I'm sure a lot of fans have been reminiscing about that iconic WWE title run between 2004 and 2005 for yourself. Just talking about that, obviously you go and defeat Eddie Guerrero, who you said was the guy that was responsible for the JBL character. Without him, You didn't feel it would have took off. What was that period in your life like, and working so closely with Eddie as well?
It was wonderful. It was unexpected. Ron retired about the same age I did, because he's a little bit older than me. So, I retired, years later, almost the same age that Ron did. So Ron was done, and I was just kind of in limbo. And fortunately, they needed somebody. Big Show was hurt. Brock Lesnar went off to fight in the UFC. Kurt Angle was out at the time, and they needed somebody for Eddie. And when they called me, it wasn't working at first. And thank God it was Eddie Guerrero. If it hadn't been Eddie Guerrero, it'd have been a one-off. You wouldn't be interviewing me now.
That Judgment Day match, obviously very, very iconic for the amount of blood that Eddie lost during that match. Would you say, even when you've been commentating matches, that might be the most shocking thing you've seen in a WWE ring?
Yes, there's no doubt about it. I knew there was a lot of blood. And I didn't know how much till I watched the match back. And there were just puddles of blood. It was unbelievable how much blood that Eddie lost that night. And it was, and he was, people have said all kinds of things, that he went into shock and all that. He did not. He lost a lot of blood. He did go to the hospital, but it was an unbelievable experience. Watching it back, I realized how gruesome it was.
And you were one of the guys who helped lead in that new era of stars when it was John Cena and Batista coming through. You worked with both of those guys in 2005. How impressed were you with both of those two? And did you see those two as the new breed that were going to fly the flag?
Yeah, in fairness, I worked with Batista a little bit later, after he had already won the title. So I worked a little bit later with Batista, and he had already kind of become established. I worked with John before he won the title, so I know a little bit more about John Cena. And it's a complete different dynamic to go from an 8-minute match to a 25, 30-minute match. It's just 8 minutes is formulaic. It's very easy to get through. It's hard to do 25 to 30 minutes, especially in the main event. And he may have done that first with Kurt Angle, I'm not sure, but I was one of the first that took John into that deep water, as we call it. And he was fantastic. I mean, from the first moment he got into that setting, you knew this was the guy. Now, I never dreamed he'd be 16-time world champion, maybe 17, if how it depends on how his retirement run goes. But I knew he was the guy.
Who would you say were the guys you grew closest to in WWE, who you felt always had your back? You'd always loved being on the road with them, and you just got on really well with them? I
was fortunate to have a lot of great lifetime friends. That's one reason I love coming to these events. And one of the things that I wanted most after COVID and kind of the way I was structured with WWE was to be able to go see Ron Simmons again on some of these appearances. And that's been a big deal to me. And Ron he was the best man at my wedding. We've been best friends for 30-something years. Godfather's here, who used to ride with me and Ron. We were together for years and years. Undertaker. I was very fortunate to have a lot of great friends, and that I still do.
I know you said you're a massive fan of wrestling still. Who do you see as being maybe the next 3 or 4 megastars in the business coming through, who you see as future WrestleMania main eventers?
It's hard to say, because you got so many guys on top right now. I think the biggest new star to me, besides Jey Uso, who obviously has emerged and, may become champion, at WrestleMania. Hopefully he does. I've loved him and his brother since they came in. Jacob Fatu, to me, is just, that kid is a kid. I'm almost 60, so everybody's a kid to me. Is unbelievable. He's unreal how good he is. I'd love to work with Jacob Fatu.
Well, you've been hanging out at TNA. We've seen you at various shows over the past year or so. What can we expect from JBL in 2025? Are we going to see you drop back in the ring in various different promotions?
You're going to see more clotheslines. You're going to see more clotheslines and more leprechauns getting hit with trash cans.
Well, I'm down for that. Maybe not the leprechauns.
No. Leprechauns they're evil. They're evil creatures. So you got to hit. Whenever you see a leprechaun, you got to hit it with a trash can. Hornswoggle has proven that leprechauns are evil creatures, and whenever you see one, you have to hit it with a trash can. Everybody else, you clothesline.
Hornswoggle was here last year, and
he's evil. Then
he's still viciously scared of you.
He should be.
Final one. What's your all-time favorite match of your career and favorite match you've witnessed as a commentator as well?
Favorite match of my career was probably the one with Eddie, the first one. Excuse me, because we knew that was everything going forward that one had to be good, and we knew that if that was not a good one, that we would not return. And we knew as soon as we came out of the ring that we had, done as well as we could do. And fortunately, it was received that way. The best I've seen so many. Now, I didn't see it as a commentator. I saw Shawn versus Taker at WrestleMania, whatever it was, 25, the first one. Oh, my God. That was the day I retired against Rey Mysterio. And I remember watching that match and thinking that's the best match I've ever seen in my life. I remember seeing Tony St. Clair, who's from here in Manchester. I was a English UK champion for about 12 years against Finlay in Europe. And I remember thinking the same thing, 30 years earlier or 25 years earlier or whatever it was. I wasn't a commentator for that. And I wasn't a commentator for this, but I was on the commentary desk when Cena wrestled Umaga. And I think it was Royal Rumble. I think it was in San Antonio. And I think JR and King were calling the match. And so I just took my headphones off, and I'm sitting there at the table, and I had this, better than ringside seat to watch this match. I just thought, I don't know how you could have a better match than that.
Amazing. Some great choices there. Well, a lot of fans are excited to see you, so just go and have the best time here in Manchester. We're very happy to see you here. Thank you.
I'm very happy. Thank you.